Justice Committee meeting for September 28th. And I'm filling in for Dennis until he gets here. Motion to approve minutes of the previous meeting. Matt, Fred, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. You're up.
Me?
You.
Mr. Chairman? As you know, the district attorney's office has three budgets. Our main budget is 1165, and I'll
Okay.
do that one first. In the revenues, we did not put in our anticipated Landis law, which will be 7,000. So our revenues, request, our proposed revenues are going to mirror the proposed adopted budget of 2016. There was a one-time grant that we obtained last year for $10,000 that allowed us to do cell phone analysis, and that is reflected in the equipment on the next page. And $19,000 the county bought us a vehicle because we had lived along for a number of years. So we're having no requests in the 200 codes. In the 400 codes, we are a net 5,000 up, and that's from our legal transcription fees. Each year we are going over that. If you look at actual in 2014, it was 37,774. So in the budget workshop, they suggested that we put this in at 35,000. There are two issues with respect to additional money. The first I'll address is the arraignment obligation. And I know that you have been briefed by the public defender Marcy Flores with respect to the obligations under Earl Herring. I gave you the case of Earl Herring so that you can read it yourself. You've got two, and then there's a settlement order. Earl Herring is a case that holds that arraignment is a critical stage of the proceeding at which a defendant is entitled to counsel. And Marcy will raise the issues that she has as a result of that. But the counties now are required to provide counsel, and the Indigent Legal Defense has provided some money for Marcy to be able to hire someone. On Thursday, September 24th, we had a meeting with Judge Hogg, Judge Mueller, and Judge McNally. When the defendant is arraigned, there is a bail application. There needs to be a notice for grand jury proceeding, and there are orders of protection that need to be requested. As a result of that meeting on Thursday, I had a conversation with Tony Jordan. Tony Jordan is going to seek to have 3 additional ADAs, one of whom is to be compliant with Earl Herring. I don't want to ask for another ADA, not because I don't think we have the work, but quite frankly, we don't have the room to put anybody. So what I did in the meeting and discussing it with the judges, we've arranged to have a weekend schedule so that the ADAs would be on a rotating schedule where they would have to be handling Saturday and Sunday arraignments. The arraignments would be at 8 in the morning in Glens Falls and 9:15, and then they would handle the arraignments throughout the day, and there would be an evening obligation. I then, based on legal aid at $75 an hour, and based on the hours that we think arraignments will be, I computed that it would be $750 a weekend, which comes out to $39,000 for the compensation for the weekend obligation. And what I would anticipate is that when the ADA is on duty for that weekend, they would put in the voucher, and it would go through the treasurer's office. I can't think of any other way to cover it without hiring another person, and I think that this is financially prudent because it eliminates any health and retirement costs, but does comply with our Earl Herring obligation. On Friday afternoon, I reached out to the chairman of the board to alert him to this we wanna have a budget line that compensates them for the weekend time, or do we wanna have another person hired? And it could be a part-time person, but I think that would be a position that would be very hard to fill if we were only working part-time on the weekend and couldn't have any, conflicts with the DA's hours. So that is not reflected in the budget materials, and it would be $39,000 for next year's budget line. The other issue that I'm working on, I've been working with Trish Menninger quite extensively, and in the budget workshop, I talked to them about the salary compensation for Debbie Smith, who is more than a confidential secretary. And I reached out to Trish, and we have we're starting and have actually gone through quite a legal analysis of her obligation. She does legal support, preparing all the felony paperwork. She's in the courtroom. She inputs all the felony conferences. She drafts subpoenas. She's certified and does all the criminal records. She's certified and does the driver's abstract. She's the office manager, where she manages the schedule for the whole staff, prepares all the fiscal reports, does all the payroll and overtime, maintains all the reports and stats for grant compliance and new hire paperwork. On top of that, she does confidential secretary, traditional confidential secretary duties, which is being the secretary, preparing all my correspondence, mail, coordinating schedules, drafting press releases, and serves as the notary public. So based on the salaries for the other people in the office who do less work, but because of civil service have step-ups, I made the request in the budget workshop. They said put it in, that her salary be adjusted to $56,000. Now this, Trish and I are not complete with our analysis here. Debbie is an exempt position, but I just put that in as my request, and that's everything I have with respect to the budget on 1165. And next, are there any questions with respect to that?
I guess I've got one. You said the idea of having ADAs handle the arraignments is to try to make it equal to what's paid to we paid to assigned counsel.
Obviously, arraignment is a critical stage material,
Right.
as
Yeah.
Florida said.
Yeah.
The district attorneys are making sure that there are people, prosecutors there at the arraignment.
Right.
If the defense attorney's going to be there, the people should be represented as well.
Yeah.
So the computation for that that number, I put 5 hours, which I think is actually a little light a day. At $75 an hour gets you $370.
But that's to make it equal with the defense side?
Correct.
But you know, in the defense, they have offices they have to maintain. They have a lot of overhead, which you don't have when you're an ADA.
Well, that's for their time,
Right.
and it's not overtime. In other words, this is on the weekend.
Yeah.
This is beyond. So it wasn't $150 an hour. It was because honestly, on the weekend, if you were going to pay them overtime, it would be time and a half. So instead of being $75 an hour, it would be $150 an hour. This is well beyond what they normally are doing. I thought that.
I think it's a good way to do it, but I just question the amount, whether it should be 75. But.
It's like I said, it's time and a half. We could do pro rata per their salary, what their hourly rate was, and then give them an hourly rate twice, time and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's more expensive. I know that particularly with some of you, I just think that's more expensive. If you want me to compute it that way, but it would be time and a half because this is well beyond what they normally do. And so I thought the 75 was the cheap version right now.
So you take their salary and divide by about 2,000 to get their hourly rate, something like that.
If you want me to do the computations that way and submit it for your review, I
Yeah,
can
okay,
do
that's
that.
fine, yeah.
And
Okay.
when I do it that way, it'll be their hourly rate time and a half as opposed to
Right,
$75.
no, I understand, yeah, okay.
Are there any other questions with respect to 1165? I'm now gonna go to the crime victim assistance, budget, that's 1188. As you know, the Office of Victim Services funds our crime victim assistance program. It's 85% funded by OVS and 15% funded by the county, but our funding is an in-kind match. So it's the office, it's the lights, it's the copier, it's the, space, for rental space per square inch. So what you're looking at is what OVS, and it's in turn volunteer hours. OVS, has funded
Is
this.
this the one that Joy is? Joy is,
And, the increase, OVS gave us a larger grant this year, so part of what we're using the increase is to buy furniture for the remodel and stuff. Are there any questions with respect to 1168? I misspoke before, I wasn't looking at it clearly, I said 88, it's 68. All right, and the final one is
Seaver?
in
Seaver?
I'm sorry, Kate, I have two quick questions. So under 1168, the 210 line, that 22,000, there's no cost to the county for that, that's all
Correct.
strictly from, grant dollars.
correct.
And then, I'm sure I'm reading this wrong, but when I look at your salary schedule, that isn't, and all I need you to do is kind of interpret for me what I'm looking at. It says step salary, that can't possibly be an $18,000 increase and a
That's
$27,000.
That's aggregate over time.
Okay.
That, and I had a shock value too when I saw that. The crime victim director is, a 21 grade and specialist discipline.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't in one
No,
year.
no. The last one is the narcotics, investigators unit, and that's, budget 4220. This board was very compassionate to our office in creating a part-time position when Ed Whitwell was very sick. Unfortunately, he succumbed to his cancer, quicker than we anticipated. So you created a part-time investigator number 5, if you look at the back page. And that was for a temporary position to be for 6 months. With the passing of Eddie Litwell, I hired Russ Lale Sr., and I spoke with Paul Dusick. I said, would you like me to put him in that part-time position, or would you like me to put him into Ed's position, because that part-time position was authorized for only 6 months. He said it would be more efficient if I put him in as the number 3 investigator. So investigator number 5, part-time, 21,260 can be eliminated. Do you have any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Now, we have a motion to send this on to the budget officer. Jim, Matt, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Bob?
Thank you. Morning. Before I get into the budget, I have a resolution request, to present to the committee. During last month's budget, I had a request to reclassify a probation officer to a probation officer training. I made that more complicated than it needed to be, so we pulled that. This is what we need to do, this is what the resolution request is. What we need to do is create a probation officer training position, because I explained that's how we want to fill our new people coming in. We want to create a probation officer training position. But the other thing we need to do is to keep the probation officer line open for the individual who retired in my department. Because after a year, the probation officer trainee automatically becomes a probation officer after a successful year of completion. So we need to keep the line open so we can roll the individual into that position. It's kind of like a placeholder, and funded minimally in the neighborhood of about $3,500, because after a year, again, the probation officer trainee starts pulled the last resolution, and I presented one to the committee, because that's the proper way to do it.
Move the
Move it.
resolution.
Yep.
Matt and Jim, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Thank you. With respect to our budget, we have three budgets within our department. Start with the main one, which is 3410, that's probation and property budget, which contains the bulk of what we do within our department. As you look at it, for the most part, the revenue lines are consistent. Bulk of our revenue comes from the block grant from the Department of Criminal Justice Services in the amount of $205,000. That remains consistent through the years. By the grace of God, they haven't cut it any further than they typically do. I think our reimbursement rate's about 11%, 11 cents on the dollar. Drastically been decreased through the years, but they haven't lowered it any further. So those figures are correct, and as District Attorney Hogan indicated, we did not put in the $7,000 we typically do for the missing interlock grant, the Andrews Law. That grant runs from October 1st to September 30th. The Office of Probation and Correctional Alternatives has applied for that grant, and for the last 4 or 5 years, they've received it. It's a federal grant, but until we get notice that they received it, we don't put that in. We get notice, typically sometime around October. And again, historically that's been there, but again, until we know for sure, we didn't put it in the revenue line. So the revenue lines are consistent with respect to the last couple of years. The only expenditure that we went up, and if you look in the contract, line number 470, for the last 3 years, we've contracted for our alternative sentencing program, that's the community service program that we do in the county. We contract with Community Action, and it was a 3-year contract. That contract is up at the end of the year. The last 3 years, that contract has been $51,000. We anticipate that that will go up just based on 3 years of difference. We sent it out for bids. The bids will come back October 22nd. And with our budget meeting, after consulting with the budget officer, Thomas indicated that he wanted me to put 60,000 in there as opposed to 51. Last time we had 3 bids that came in, Community Action won, so we'll see what we have here in terms of what actually comes in. So those bids should come in October 22nd. Community Action has done that program for years, they've done very well with it. But again, we anticipate that that figure will go up. So that's the only increase with respect to the 3140 budget, and again, that's in the contract code. That's pass-through money that comes through my department. We maintain it, we manage it. Doesn't affect my budget, it affects the criminal justice system as a whole by having a good community service program. That's pretty much it on 3140. Any questions?
Bob, just maybe historically you could just explain this one to me. When I look at your revenue coming in and you look at the probation drug test charges, I can see back a few years ago it was around $10,000 that we were getting in as revenue, and then since that time it's been zero across the board. I'm just wondering what changed, and is this something that we're continuing to hope for some type of revenue since it's staying in the budget, or?
What we did, we had 3 years ago we had a different vendor. I can't think of the name of it, it was Quest, a huge drug testing company. What we used to do is let me back up, we do urine tests, we do on-site tests for a majority of the things we do. If those tests need to be sent out, we do confirmation with that. And we have the probation pay for it, so there's no county dollars. So before, what we did with Quest is we used to take the money in, they would give us a money order. We would take the money in, we would deposit it in the treasurer, Quest would bill us, and we would pay for it. We switched vendors because of a lot of reasons, mainly Quest is a huge company and criminal justice testing, there's really no money in it for them. So we went to Saratoga Labs, which is a local company, and we make the probationers pay when we do confirmation, except we collect money orders and simply pass it on to Saratoga. So there's no money that comes into the budget. So that's why you would see the zero. We're not taking it in and paying it out.
So So eventually we'll just see that line deleted.
Yeah, I think over X amount of years ago, but should they keep it busy, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. But I think as indicates there, we haven't done that in like 3 years.
Okay.
And Saratoga Labs does, in my opinion, a far better job.
Okay.
The next budget we have, depending on where we put this in, is probation pretrial budget. That has a revenue source of $13,000. And 5,000 goes to my department and 8,000 goes to support, 8,000 goes to our department and 5 goes to support the community service program we do. There's 1 person in that line. And that's pretty much it. And then after that, we have a day reporting budget. Again, there's 1 person in that budget, and that budget is fairly simple. You'll see no revenue in that, and the reason for that is because when the state division went to a block grant, they included all of our funding in 1 grant, the $205,000, and that's mainly 3140. Before that, we used to get maybe $15,000 or $16,000 to do day reporting, and day reporting is where we support the Warren County Treatment Program. I think that it's been spoken about numerous times, something that's a collective effort with all members of the criminal justice system, our service providers, different community members. Warren County District Attorney Hogan speak at the heroin epidemic in the forums that she had last night. She eloquently speaks about the individuals who are treatment court graduates and did come and give testimony. If you've never been there, you should actually go. Because a lot of times, what we do is focus on, we deal with difficult cases, and sometimes you make a difference. And all you have to do, in order to make a difference in these individuals, you thoroughly see that lives are saved. So, then we have a dedicated probation officer that works with our treatment court. We think it's a better way to do business. It's a lot of effort out of our department, out of our other county agencies, but it's a better way to do business. And I think that's something that works in the great level. So that's that budget.
What's there's a large jump in the employee benefits, from 20,000 to 34,000.
We had an individual last year retire, Kathy Johnson, she was
Oh.
single, and the individual we have now has family health insurance.
Oh, okay.
Some plus to that, plus, that's basically it. And also, I think her retiree benefits go against that.
Mm.
Any questions with respect to those persons?
Rachel?
I just have a general question. I think I'm struggling with understanding these salaries, maybe, the way that this is proposed, because
Different, isn't it?
well, yeah, I don't remember it looking like this before, but,
The first year it does look like that, and I
Oh.
looked at it, and I believe what it does is it has the anniversary and step increases broken down. I think before it used to be a salary of $40,000, and then there was a step increase, like
and then your total,
2,042.
right,
So I'm not sure, I can't answer to why it's like that, but it's different because you have like half and half.
yeah. It's a little misleading, I think, when you first
Yeah.
look at it, you're thinking,
It's confusing.
so, and I guess that's a question for Joanne or, Paul. But, so if I'm understanding this right, and we discussed it a little bit earlier this morning, for those individuals where it says 0 for step salary, those are appointed positions, I'm assuming,
Those are
outside of the
the
union?
bargaining unit,
Okay,
and I'll speak about them in a second, please. We have 19 employees, and the vast majority are union employees, and we're covered under the CSBA contract. And they're identified as, Supervisor Seaver said, with a breakdown that is what it is. And the people with nothing are 4 individuals in our department, myself, my 2 supervisors, and my confidential secretary. I think that's inside of Michelle Rodriguez, who has nothing. We just have the straight salary. Why that is, I don't know.
so I think as Frank had mentioned earlier this morning, then those increases, he said the budget would change based on his recommendation based on whatever percentage that is.
For the non-union?
Right.
I believe so.
Okay, so everything else is dictated by the union, and even though I can't understand how much more money it is, looks like it's just what it is.
I agree.
And then I know we heard, Kate talk a little bit about working with Trish and reclassifying positions. Is that something that you're gonna continue to do? Cause when I look at your well, were you gonna talk about your comparison? Go on.
What we have is 4 individuals outside of the bargaining unit. And I will say that the majority, the members of our department work very hard, mostly covered under the CSEA contract. We have 4 people that are outside of the bargaining unit, myself, my 2 supervisors, and Michelle. The thing I like to point out when I talk about them is a couple of things. One, if you look at how long they've been there, and granted, Mr. Stevenson's fairly new to the supervisor position, but outside of that, myself, Mark, and Michelle have been with the department many years. And it's not coincidentally that I think the department is run well because of them. We do a lot of work within our department that has to do with probation type work. But actually running the day-to-day operations of the department, besides the 19, it's not a department, it's an operation. And there's a lot of things going on with respect to adults, there's a lot of things going on with juveniles. And to make it all work is not easy. I have very good people that work for myself, supervisors are fantastic. And as Kate talked about Debbie Smith, I will talk the same about Michelle. Her title is Principal Steno Confidential. I'm not even sure what that is, nor what that is. I reached out to Trish, similar to the time that Kate did, and we sent down a job questionnaire that basically shows what the work that Michelle does, which goes from the know the time and keeping track of 19 people punching in and out during the day, in the morning, in the evening, at lunch, making sure that works. Sometimes another time is a little bit tricky, we have to massage that. The other part too is when you talk about the grants that we do, she does all the financial reporting. She does the vouchers, the calculations, submitting the vouchers, submitting the bus report. When you deal with the state, nothing's simple. There is still a lot of paperwork that goes with it. We do that stuff on a quarterly basis. Also in terms of running an office, Michelle takes care of the office supplies, the ordering, the wants of 18 other people to make things work. Again, when I talk about the efficiency of the department, she's responsible for that. And I think the title of confidential secretary, though that still contains a lot of her work, the title needs to shift, similar to something with an office manager, someone who takes care of the day-to-day operation. And if anybody's worked in an office, particularly 19 people, there's a lot that goes on in the course of the day. So from financial reporting, ordering supplies, keeping track of people's time, and other things I won't mention that she does about the title, it all works. And I think those people need to be compensated, particularly her. I think that's been low. I threw out a figure, we can debate what the figure is, but I think it keeps the department more than it is. Those are people that make things work. And the county implements new policies with respect to time and violence, trainings and those things. She's the one who manages that and makes those things happen. So those are very important. And whenever I have the opportunity to talk about those people, which isn't much, I do. So, you know, they're the people who make it work.
I guess, may I respond? Thank you. I guess my only point is that, recently we heard from our IT department in the middle of the year about reclassifying a position that was an appointed position as well to a salary that Trish had reviewed and said absolutely needed to happen. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to have this reclassification done before the budget, so that next year, you know, we aren't coming back and increasing that, because, I mean, if she's doing a reclassification, when you look at somebody who's been there 13 years compared to people that have been there a year, and of course with the DAs, that's being reclassified, maybe there's a way to get that done and up to that same level of salary before we go into next year and having to teach that over again.
Yeah, I think that's right. I talked to Trish, and I don't know where she is on the time level in terms of doing that, but yes, we could have that, so we don't have to do this every year.
Maybe we could just ask her if she could make that a priority before the budget, if that's okay with the committee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Make a motion to accept the budget and move it on to the budget officer. Jim? Rachel? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Marcy?
Thank you. I'd like to start with,
Joy?
regular business, request to attend meetings. These are requests to attend meeting. One, I've already done because, I couldn't get it in time because when the meeting came up, they didn't give us advance notice. And that is the request to attend a meeting in Rochester, New York, which was the Chief Defenders of New York State and also Indigent Legal Services. So I attended that. The only expense to the county is that I used a county car. And then the funding for the gas and the tolls comes out of Indigent Legal Services grant, so that's done. So that was the one for Rochester. And that is the first one that was there. The next one is to attend a meeting in Syracuse, New York. That is Office of Indigent Legal Services. It deals with grant funding coming up for the next year. Amy Bartlett is going to attend it with me, so I'll be using a county car up and back the same day. Rochester was up and back the same day also. So that's,
Do we have a motion? She talks so
On the
fast.
first one or both?
The first one.
First one, okay.
Okay. And, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now the second one. Matt? Seconded by Jim? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
okay. The last one is that one of my attorneys can attend a continuing legal education at SUNY Delhi on October 5th. He's going to use a county car, go up and back, and all the gas will be paid for through the Indigent Legal Services grant, and it is a free CLE.
Fred? Matt? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
okay. Now I'd like to talk about the budget. I'm going to hand out two budgets.
Take her about 30 seconds to go through this.
Okay, I'm
That sounds good.
Well, I think mine is gonna be easier than everybody else's budget. When I started, I promised you I would not go over the budget that we had last year, and I have not, which I think is very good. The budget that was submitted to you online is the one that has my handwriting, my signature on the front, okay? The one below it is the one I'd like you to do. The reason being, the one on the top that has my signature on it has two errors in it. So if you flip up one page on the one that has the error, it is an email from me to Joanne McKinstry indicating there's an error. Our grant funding was not recorded properly on it. So here's your two copies. So what I'm asking is that the oils money for appeals, which is approximately $8,000, be removed because we don't have that money next year. So that would make sense to be getting rid of it. And put in the one that we have, which is $18,000 grant for retaining attorneys and to keep competent attorneys. Again, that's all grant funding. So the only difference between the two budgets is the second one that I handed you that doesn't say Warren County Budget Summary has the correct numbers on it. That's the only difference. I promised you I would come in under budget, and I did, from what we did last year. So I thought I did okay.
Marcy, is there a match on that grant?
No. Would you like to have it? I'd like to talk about one of the issues Kate talked about, which was the meeting that we had regarding the Indigent Legal Services and how I'm making it happen and what my have done.
Are you done with the budget?
Yes, I'm done on the budget, unless you
Okay.
have questions about it.
Make a motion to accept the budget and move it on to the budget officer. Jim, Fred, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now go on.
Okay, so in terms of what I did with Indigent Legal Services and hiring and having the office work, when I took over, I moved everybody up. That left position number 5 open. When I hired for position number 5, I told that attorney or anyone who was interviewing for that position that they would be required to work one day on the weekend, and their days off would be either Sunday and Monday or Friday on or Saturday. The other way I've covered it is the 6th
person that I'm hiring, which I have not hired yet, is from Indigent Legal Services Grant, which is $45,000 salary, plus the benefits, and it's 100% grant funded, the county doesn't pay any of it. And what I do with that position is that person is working the other day on the weekend, and they're also working till 8 o'clock at night, from noon to 8. Now, what I have done before I hire, and before I discuss this with anybody else, is I discuss it with Mr. Dusick and the county attorney, because the person who is working on the weekend, if we have an 8 a.m. arraignment, and they have arraignments till 8 o'clock at night, it's more than the normal scheduled day. So they have indicated to me, because we are not within the CSEA, we are out of that contract because we're the attorneys, therefore they can work a block in the morning, have a block off midday, and then work again in the evening. So that's how I am covering arraignments on the weekends and on evenings. It is for Queensbury Court and it is for Glens Falls City Court. I cannot hire someone to run around the entire county 24/7. I don't have funds for it, and I'm not going to be able to get funds for that. So therefore, I came up with a solution, so we have attorneys at arraignments in our two biggest courts and covering evenings. And that was the best way I could come up with it. And again, the Indigent Legal Services covers one entire person who does it, so I'm not doing it based on an hourly salary or any of those kinds of issues that Kate was talking about or that you had asked about. I specifically hired people to fit that time frame. And I thought it was important to let you know how I was doing it, because obviously Kate was talking about how she did it, and I wanted to make sure you understood how I did it. Anybody have questions on that? Yes?
Rachel?
No, not on that. And I know we already voted on the budget. Marcy, I'm sorry, I just couldn't keep up.
No problem, sorry.
Because when we're done with it, can we just go back? I have two quick questions, if that would be okay.
Sure.
But, do you want me to ask them that?
You wanna go back?
Okay, Marcy, just two quick questions.
Sure.
If you go back, and you look at your line items, I have a question under 437 and 439.
Which one are you looking at? The one that has my signature on it, or the other one?
No, the other one.
The
You
other
said to look at that one, right?
Four,
437, consulting fees.
consulting fees.
Let me just ask my question.
Yeah.
In 2012, you had 2,300. In 2013, you had 1,500. 2014, you don't request anything. Now we're back to 2375 going forward. I'm just wondering why we went down to nothing and now we're back at.
I think at one point they did not put it in the budget under Mr. Wassick for whatever reason, and we put it back in because we are actually using the consulting fees. There are with psychiatrists and those kinds of people, so that's, as of right now, we have not used all of it, and obviously if we don't, that's great, but I wanted it in there in case we do use it.
Okay, and then, under 439 miscellaneous fees and expenses, in, previously it was at $25, $60, then 2014, nothing. 2015, we see an increase, and then an increase again in 2016. What's going on with that line?
That's what Mr. Dusick suggested, that when we met with Joanne and Paul, that's what they suggested, that we keep it at, put it at that, and so that's what I did.
So what's it used for?
It's for anything else that comes up in terms of, office expenses or travel or anything else that we can't get under oil. Because what I've been doing is getting permission from oil to amend the grant if something comes up, that is not within specifically the grant, but if I can advocate to switch it into that, then I do. And that's our catch-all in case we don't.
Okay. Those were my two questions on that, and I might have, missed this as well, but did you already talk about the LexisNexis? Was that?
No, LexisNexis is a fee, that we had to increase because we have another attorney, and apparently they had a 3-year contract signed. It expired last year. They never communicated with us that the contract was expired, and then they stopped all our services. So I had to go down to county court, being unable to shepherd our case, because they would not let us into our case. So as a result, we had to, redo the contract. I discussed it with the county attorney, and he has approved the contract and sending it back to them. So it's a 3-year contract, and it has increases each year because that's what their contract is. We couldn't get them to reduce it beyond that.
And would that be reflective in that consulting or miscellaneous fees line?
I think that's where we're putting it in.
All right, thank you. So do we need to vote still on the LexisNexis, or we did that?
On what?
On the increase of the fees?
I think we voted on it.
Voted on
We
the
did
whole
this
budget?
one? Yeah. Well, this was attached to your agenda, which is why I'm asking you if it's separate than the budget.
It wasn't something specific extra, I just wanted you to know what was
Oh,
going on.
okay.
My feeling is, you are my committee, you need to know what's going on with my department. And I'd rather give you more information than not enough.
No, that's fine, I didn't recall talking about it, and I'm, Mark, sorry.
That's cool.
Okay? Joy? It's like I'm married there. I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Hello. Fire away.
We don't have a budget.
We have what?
You don't have any copies of any of mine here.
None?
I'm sure I have it online. I can copy it. See, Amanda has it.
Okay, well, somebody probably told me that. I can go make you copies if you want. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Seriously? That's done is against the law.
I come up with about $30 an hour for like, well, for the third assistant.
It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see if we get
Yeah.
close. It's Hudson Falls math.
So Bob, I
Like-
will just talk to Trish and see if they can look at reclassifying her. I don't want to be the
What,
She's having to come back.
Kate, the other thing is, I don't know if there's gonna be a problem with the contractor versus employee status. I know we've had that issue with, I mean, can you take somebody who's an employee and then just pay them on a contract?
Compare it, you can
Yeah,
compare it.
yeah.
Why would you increase first was, if you're gonna
I don't
reclassify
wanna-
them, do it,
Yeah.
get it over with now.
This is where I'm at, I'm
Okay.
almost done.
Okay.
Must have thought of Thursday.
What's that?
Dennis must have thought the meeting was on Thursday.
Hard to tell with the house.
Looks to me like some of them were $25 an hour, some 30, some 40, so 1.5 times that is less than 75.
Well, no,
Yeah.
for Jason,
Yeah.
so if you take,
Huh?
so.
No, I agree, they should be count, you know, paid well for
So if
having
you
to get up
go,
their weekends.
yeah, so if you go to 52, you get the weekly salary, 35 hours a week, and then that's their hourly salary.
Mm.
So then you do time and a half on the hourly.
Mhm.
So roughly, 180, 75, 60, 50. If you do the 52 weeks, you have 8 full cycles where you have all 6 working.
Mhm.
So, and then 4 overflow. So 4 of them will be 9 appearances, and 2 will be 8. I haven't gotten to Maggie, but,
You showed up.
right now, so we're up 4,
Hey
5.
Amanda, where do I go online to find the budget? I only go
So,
through your link,
once
but
they
if I
go
go
hourly,
online.
Mhm.
then we have to pay them for the whole hourly.
Yeah.
So if it's a long day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
what I was trying to do is get
Yeah.
finite number, that
Right.
you knew what the hit was
Yeah.
gonna be.
But I can't find it.
Because once you
Yeah,
go
well, and
hourly.
also there's the OSHA,
The rate,
yeah, what is the
Yeah,
rate,
I
plus
find
you
it
got
through your link, but I
you got
can't get
Social
it any
Security
other
and other
way.
things on top of it too.
right,
Yeah.
so what I was trying to do was make it finite, so that we didn't have.
I've got it online.
She makes me, but it wasn't us. It wasn't us.
They're very sensitive.
So that's what
Yeah.
I was trying to do. I was trying to get a finite number that was
Mhm.
reasonable,
Mhm.
and,
welcome.
so.
Yeah, okay.
So do you want me to do
Okay.
this workup?
No,
I can
that's
get it
fine.
in.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm done filing.
No, yeah,
I
I'll
was
get
just-
it in,
I was-
I'll
the-
get it
Why
in.
we're not
the only thing
talking
I was
about the
curious
budget
about was
increasing postage.
that,
How much is our postage?
you know,
We get that through Amanda.
75 for the defense side, they have to cover all the overhead.
Yeah, but
And the assistant DAs, they don't, you know,
Right.
they don't have to cover all the
Right,
office
no, I get
overhead.
that,
Yeah, okay.
but then if you go to time and a half,
Yeah.
and you go hourly, you don't have a finite number.
Right.
And so I was
Yeah.
trying to get
Okay.
something that was like a month.
Okay.
You're on, Joy. Your budget.
I guess I would like an explanation of the budget.
Generally,
Well, it's your proposed budget, so I think you should explain to us why you're asking for what you're asking for.
the only thing that's changed in my budget is an additional $30,000 for the pellet cord assignment that we have a contract on. Other than that, my budget is exactly the same as it was last year. Nothing's changed.
Rachel?
Just under your equipment line, in 2015, it looks like you didn't request anything, but then it was amended to include the about 2,600, and we're back down to zero for 2016.
That was furniture through oil grant.
Oh, through the grant, okay, so you wouldn't request that then for next year unless you had to
No,
amend?
I'm all set.
Okay.
Doug?
So, I'm just trying to figure this out, give me a couple minutes. So we're looking for an 18.5% increase in our budget request in 2016 over actual expenditures just, 2 years ago. So, I guess I'd like to have some explanation on why we've gone from 18.5% in 2 years over what we've actually, spent just, a couple of 2 years ago.
Because of the new contract with the appellate, rural law firm, cover all of the.
Okay, can you show me where on that, please?
This is all done, let's see, that'd be under legal and transfer, under contract, we're 70.
470?
83. Last one.
Spent $77,000 in 2014. We had to adopt, and amend the budget in 2015. And so you're actually asking for only $50,000 in, no, I don't see the 2016 one you're asking for. Where's that?
That's on contractual. Urban request is 766930, in that is including all my vendors. In addition to possible vendors is the new contract with the law firm for $30,000 for 1 year of work.
Bear with me.
No problem.
Huh?
On my sheet, I have, the last one I have is 2015 actual amount. I don't have a
Right,
2016.
that's where I was going.
It's on the
Request.
departmental request page. The first page.
What's the breakdown?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the summary, okay, we have summary,
Is
right.
there?
You got a summary, but you don't have a breakdown.
We don't have a breakdown, that's all.
Like, have you seen the other one, the way they do the breakdown? That's all they're looking for.
I don't think I have them with me also. There is a gun file.
Maybe Amanda has it now.
Any more questions on Joy's budget? Yes, Fred?
Why, if I'm reading this right, the revenues proposed to go down from 51,000 to 15, is that right?
As far as I'm aware,
Why is that?
I really honestly don't know, Brett.
Okay. It's a pretty big hit, whatever it is. I have no idea what it is.
What are we losing?
We lost 36,000.
What are we losing in revenue?
Well, part of that will be coverage through the oil grant, and also part of that will be that I've still got 15,000 that I can't access because I can't find a replacement.
Okay,
And I had to fire the part-timer I had.
okay. Any other questions?
Is it maybe, Amanda, if possible, can you just email us out the breakdown for the 2016? Sure.
And also, what, you know, why are we down 36,000 on the revenue?
Okay, we have a motion to move, Joy's budget on to the budget officer.
See?
Fred,
You don't know why?
seconded by
I'll
Matt.
second it.
Any further discussion?
Take that for the budget act.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, Joy. Did I miss anybody? Anybody from the, peanut gallery got anything?
Well, maybe, I didn't see Frank here, can I just ask Frank? Sorry, did you just sneak in, or have you been here the whole time?
I just came in, actually, I was
sorry, Frank. We were just trying to figure out how come the revenue's down in that budget by 36 grand.
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. Don't know.
We all just voted yes, knowing that we were just gonna ask you.
I'm gonna pass the
Well, I'm
problem on to
following
you,
Fred.
Frank.
Yeah, we knew you. I'm your post.
No, I haven't known about it. I didn't know that, when we were up in, Lake Placid, they had a seminar about it. And, because of the, legal case with the 5 counties, and the state's gonna have to provide more services and pay more money, there's an assemblywoman that has a bill proposed that, the rest of the counties get the same treatment, so what they're trying to do is get the state to pay for all of it.
Here's the settlement order, the stipulation order for that case, and here's the case law. And it's not bad to have in your hip pocket. I also have a copy of that bill if you want to make a copy of it.
I think I have it.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe we should have Joy come back when she's a little more prepared. I think like, just to say, well, we're going up 112,000 contractual, no breakdown of any of that. That to me is kind of, I'd just like to know more detail. Oh, we're going up 112,000 contractual. I wanna know more detail, and I couldn't find the detail. Maybe I'm missing something.
No, I think it should be sent to all the committee members, and then we can help discuss it with the budget officer.
Okay.
Definitely.
Do you agree, Fred?
Not a full presentation.
That's correct, thank you. So, if you can be sent more of the detail, I don't know if you need her to come back, or if that's up to the committee or whatever, but,
She's got people backed up down there. Yes, Rachel?
Mr. Chairman, just to be fair though, Doug, and I think this is the first time they've changed this budget process around. So I think previously, like years ago, you would come to your committee with your budget, and then it would go to the budget team. And I think the last few years it's gone to the budget team, then it's just come to the full board. So I think this is the first year they've kind of made this change to how you need to come to your committee and present. So maybe she just wasn't familiar with the process.
But if you've already been to the budget
Yeah,
budget
they-
team, you should have been prepared there, and then you just bring it in here.
Well, I don't know what she
play
presented
it
to
again.
Frank's team, but I'm just
yeah.
throwing that out there,
Well,
that maybe it's because it's
She's a little
new.
confused, she could be, but the fact of the matter is, I don't have any detail on the contract increase of $112,000, and I'd like to see some detail on that stuff. That's all.
And I'm even a little confused. In this committee, we have voted on these budgets to send it on back to the budget team, but in other committees, we haven't taken a vote at all. Paul said this morning it was for information purposes only, and that we were not voting on it.
It's news to me.
So how's it supposed to work, Frank?
Whatever you wanna do.
So it can be different for each?
He has to deal with it anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how it gets
Yeah.
to him.
That's I don't really know if we have that much standing in terms of having her come back.
It's the way
and
it's
do it.
always been
Yeah.
done in committee, is you send it to the budget officer for his,
Whatever you
approval.
want.
Did you call Joy?
I didn't, I just.
Right, that's what I mean. She might be just a little,
The last 3 or 4 years.
right.
So I'm assuming she must have printed.
I did.
Given a guideline as to what that
Keep reading.
So, like, me, for example, I'm just kind of bringing what I submitted to, Christie, but there wasn't like a set guideline out there for us departments to use to bring to our committee members and say, is this what you're looking for? You know,
Right.
we didn't have anything, she probably just brought what she thought
Right.
to them,
But there wasn't even a proposal for what the contractual was for 2016, which is what we're supposed to be talking about.
Amanda has some explanation,
The budget submission that came in to the county administrator's office does not have any breakdown for 2016. So I'm thinking what may have happened was when she printed it out, maybe she neglected to include the 2016 figures. There's different things you have to check to get them on your report. So I'm thinking she must have missed it, but I can work with her and get that revised correctly, and I'll have it emailed out to the whole board, so everyone has it. Also, it was my understanding, and I know in past years, we've always done a motion to get to the budget officer. I was advised that as soon as the budgets were submitted to my office and then given to the county administrator's office, they were automatically going to the budget officer and that these meetings were just for review. That's what I was explaining.
We do things differently here.
Whatever you wanna do.
Okay, so when we get it down, what are we doing?
I'm gonna work with Joy and we'll get the report revised so it has the 2016 numbers in it, and I'll make sure that gets emailed out to everyone.
Doug's question is, under the contractual, there's a substantial increase, and he wants to know what that is. Do you know what it is, Frank?
I know that, under the 440 code, the transcripts, we cut it by 50,000 back to 650. The 470, was 30,000 for appeals and, conflict defenders.
So you're looking through that, Frank, that big increase, because we got a net increase of 112,000, which is almost 19%, 18.5%. Where's that chunk coming from? Why all of a sudden, that's a lot of money, $112,000. I'd just like to know, you're telling me a couple places actually we cut back, I guess.
Yeah, we cut on the 440 by 50,000, and we cut 470 by, oh, my note says 30, but it's still 114. I don't know, I'll have to check on this.
But the other question is the revenues are
And the
less,
revenues-
less than 30% of what they were in 2015 for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, we just voted to send it to Frank.
You want me to get her back up
Well,
here?
Frank's gonna figure it all out.
That's right.
Right, Frank?
Yep. She's coming back up.
All right, thank you.
I think this is a great process and I appreciate the information, but maybe just with the department heads and, you know, like Lexi said, maybe being able to give them a little more guidance on what they're gonna expect from committees. 'Cause I know a lot of people said they've been a little uneasy about coming back here and what do we have to provide.
Right.
Maybe that was the issue with Joy.
Well, department should know what's in the budget.
Yeah, and basically you gotta know how much is coming in, and how much is going out,
Yeah.
and where it's going. That's basically it.
If they don't know, who does?
I'm trying here, Fred, like, doing good in chat.
Yeah. Maybe we can. I don't know if anyone's time. No.
What?
We go through. That's where Dennis is.
He's at the Salt Summit, I texted him, make sure he's
Where
all right.
Dennis is, Salt Summit.
The what?
Salt Summit.
You gotta go to it?
That's where Dennis is.
Yeah, oh yeah, right.
I'm not gonna make it, I got a
No.
workshop meeting at 3.
Well, I think
I would like to
the
be there.
revenue side, I think the oils money goes away this year.
Oh, so
Oh,
that's
next
why
year.
you get the cut.
And that leaves the 15, I think that's what that is. It's the last year of the grant money.
Well, it said something about that when I asked about the equipment line, you know, that last year, she requested 0, but then they, I don't know, furniture or something.
You had 0 budgeted for the oils money in the original budget, then it was amended to be 51,000
Right.
for this year.
That's what they received, I believe. That's what I was just.
Yeah, but then, so why was it budgeted as 0 for this year? We really don't know what it's budgeted for 2016.
funny how each committee's doing it differently. The way Bill's doing it, I think the way it always has been done. Who's running the show?
You know that, Ann, what are you talking about? I'd like to know how pale I really look.
You look better. You look much better.
Well, thanks, because I've really done something in the last 2 hours I've been sitting here.
Your blood is circulating.
You know, Bab, with Pope Francis coming here, you're gonna be out of a job.
Thank God.
I mean, you're gonna be completely, not gonna be any crime or anything.
Maybe one more year.
Right.
Yeah, if you got any answers. We'll take a year.
Yeah, well, you still got people on probation, so yeah.
Fortunately, there seems to be a never ending cycle. I hope.
No, not since he came. You know.
Increase in people, there's more people in
That's all
Manchester.
oil money.
There-
More people
Oh,
in
yeah,
Manchester.
I'm sure.
No, actually.
I'm turning over a new leaf.
It's a 3-year grant.
I don't know what that means exactly.
I'm wondering what that means.
At the end of the breakdown for the last year. Well, next year, we don't have any of the allocations, unless we submit. Maybe I'll sit up here. I also like why there isn't a running head on these
No.
Is she coming? She's not gonna be happy about it. She's got a short fuse.
He's down here, I'm not sure.
That one, I don't think it was there. I'll probably pick up on it. These bills, Dennis better pay up for this one, huh? Bill?
Yeah.
Dennis better pay up for this one, huh?
Yeah.
No, we didn't cut that, just the one. Oh, did you pass them all?
I just left them at the end of the table.
Okay.
Well, there's part of it right there.
I can help anyway.
Right, that's the whole.
Can you get your hat?
Doesn't.
Hi, Bill, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
See right here.
Yeah, it's round here.
Right there and then there. Where's the one?
Down a transcription.
Maybe you can shed some light on the questions the committee has.
That's what Frank put in the car.
Yeah.
They wanna know why the contractual is up so much. Not that much, though.
Sorry if I sit down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doug, you had a question for Joy?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Joy, thanks for coming back.
You're welcome, no problem.
I was just, trying to figure out, under the contractual, I didn't see really, much detail on how we increased $112,000 over 2014 expenses, which is about an 18.5% increase. So I was just trying to figure out what jumped out in the contractual
Increased legal fees.
increased legal fees, okay, so is there a line item for that, Joy?
No, there isn't.
No line item for that, there's no, okay.
I think what you wanna look at is, code 440, legal transcript fees.
Okay, which says, transcripts, process server. What I'm seeing here is we're requesting $2,500.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
2,500 and 440?
$2,500, it says departmental request for item, line number 440. But, and 2 years ago it was $854, so that's $1,700. I mean, that's not, see what I'm saying? See how I'm,
Yeah, no, is it what you're looking at in the 440s codes, the amended budget from 2015 and the actual, correct?
yeah, I was looking at Joy at 2014 actual.
Okay.
440, which shows $854 is what I was told to look at, and we're requesting 2,500, but that's $1,700, and that's not 112,000, so.
The last one
Legal
over.
expenses, I'm looking for a line item.
Oh, gotcha.
He's got a report that shows.
Right?
No, that's not what we're looking at here
Yeah.
on this proposed budget. I mean, that line is $650,000
Yeah.
for 440.
Actually, now, 50,000.
Oh,
440.
No.
No, it went down 50.
Here's the amended budget, 699,
This is a
Right.
22.
report.
Budget
That's the
650.
only thing I was
So it went down
Okay.
$49,000.
Okay, this helps, thank you, this helps a little bit, line 440, 574,000, 2014, 650,000 for requesting, and we had to amend the, 2015 budget, accordingly because of the additional legal expenses, okay?
right, went down.
That seems to make sense then.
And then 470 is another one it's a big,
Pardon me?
470 is a big jump from 2014.
Yeah, that went up $30,000 to cover the contract with the Rural Law Center for appeals.
Rural Law Center.
Okay. That helps me out immensely.
Okay. Fred, you had a question on, revenues?
Well, just the revenues, I mean, it looks like it's really jumped around. It looks like it's oils, distribution. It was 1,270 in 2014, and then 0 in the adapted budget, and 51,000 in the amended budget.
That 51,000 is split between the Legal Aid Society, the Public Defender's Office, and my office. I got 15 and change plus part from a furniture grant that was just completed.
So they really did a dramatic decrease in that distribution.
Because it's the end of that distribution, and then the next year fires up, is that correct,
Right.
Julian?
It's a 3-year grant.
Any other questions for Joy before we let her go again? Thanks, Joy.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Alice,
Fred?